Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going, and as I like to remind you each and every day, it expands our base. The world has changed dramatically since last I did Around the Political World with John Rothman. Not only have we had the attempted assassination of a former president of the United States, Donald Trump, which thankfully failed, but now we have a judge who is throwing out the case against former President Trump on the question of his taking classified documents out of the White House to Mar-a-Lago. And so, even though we are consumed with the question of our own nation and its soul, and the question of whether or not a former president of the United States or any political leader should be subject to the kind of attack that Donald Trump was subjected to on Saturday evening, and which, by the way, we've experienced, whether it's Gabby Giffords and the attempted assassination of a member of Congress, whether it is the January 6th insurrection, whether it was Steve Scalise on the baseball field, all of these matters are important. But now we also deal with the legal problems of Donald Trump, even as the Republican convention begins. The fact that Judge Cannon has thrown out the case against Donald Trump on the classified documents case is fascinating and raises all kinds of questions about the objectivity of the court. Now, this case will be appealed. There's no question about it. But do you understand the tensions that are now rife in America? Not only do we have the celebration of Donald Trump's survival from an assassination attempt, dreadful, god-awful in every way, but now we have the Trump people cheering the fact that a case against Donald Trump for taking classified documents is been dismissed by a judge. Do you understand? When we talk about going around the political world, every minute, this issue of what is going on at the moment is going to be critical. Next, perhaps, may be the choice that President Trump makes for the vice presidency. But make no mistake, this is going to be a volatile political year. And I say volatile, I mean volatile. Every minute, something is going to happen. Now, what holds our system together? Our system is held together by the good sense of the American people and the fact that the system, with all its flaws, fundamentally works. What happens now? The Republicans convene. What will their rhetoric be? What will the response be to the court decision on Donald Trump? What will the reaction be in the convention to the assassination attempt against the former president of the United States? And how will the Democrats respond in their convention coming up in August? All of these issues hang heavily in the air. And do you understand? We have to focus on all of them. I will tell you the truth. This morning I recorded a podcast and then I erased it because news catches up so quickly, and we have to consider all of these issues carefully. There is something that I learned this weekend from reading a book by John Avallone on Abraham Lincoln. In Avallone's book, he talks about the great tensions surrounding Lincoln and his life and his presidency, and yet his unique ability to try to bind up the nation's wounds. "We are not enemies, we are friends," said Lincoln in his inaugural address. And yet we know that the nation went through great turbulence and survived. So, this morning, based on the attempted assassination and based on the court ruling that came just moments ago, I had to think carefully about what it is that we are as Americans. The first thing I want you to know is I always remember the wise words of Adlai Stevenson in the Godkin lectures at Harvard. He said that America was not bound together by its wealth or its military might, that America was bound together by its ideas, The idea is exemplified in the Declaration of Independence and in the Constitution of the United States. Now, we know that all of the issues can be interpreted differently, but my one thought this morning is, let's stick to the issues. Let's deal with whether or not we agree or disagree with the Republicans and the Democrats on a whole host of issues, because that's what it boils down to. What it boils down to in this election is a contest of ideas, and the American people, in the end, will decide what ideas we embrace. Oh, I know there are deep divisions in America. I know that whether it is the attempted assassination of a president, whether it is, frankly, the physical capability of a president, whether it has to do with a court, whether it is the Supreme Court or lower courts and the decisions they make, all of that will be contentious, difficult, and historically important. But I also know that in the end, on November 5th, the American people will make a fundamental choice, a choice about what direction this country will go in. It is truly in this campaign a choice which we have to make. What I am concerned about are the emotions, the passions, which are rising every minute, and which continue to manifest themselves, whether it is in the attempted assassination of a former president or a court ruling. Can we maintain our balance? Can we operate within the confines of a political system tested over 2 centuries and which, despite all of its failures, has still held? That is the question, ladies and gentlemen. That is the issue this morning. Let me close by saying that I do an Around the Political World each and every weekday. And each and every weekday when it's begun, I think about what I'm saying. And when it's over, I think about what I should have said. Let us hope that rational voices prevail and that the great debate in this country continues in a positive, affirmative way. That must be our hope and our prayer. I am John Rothman. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Around the Political World. Make sure to follow along and let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand. And of course, you can interact with me on Facebook and on LinkedIn. But I promise you, we will do our best to make sure that we talk about the issues that are important. To Gogo Zoger, the wonderful producer of this show, my deep appreciation. And to all of you, I'll see you tomorrow, right here on Around the Political World with John Rothman.